morning. Welcome to MindStream's Future of EPM webinar with Alex Ladd, the CEO of MindStream. We're going to get started in just a moment, but a little housekeeping first. Everybody will be in listen-only mode until the end of the webcast, and then we will open it up for questions and answers. Please let us know if you have any questions. There'll be a box that you can fill in, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And without any further ado, Alex Ladd.
Thank you, Andy. Hello, everyone. I am Alex Ladd. A little bit about myself. I am the founder and CEO of MindStream Analytics. I've been in the EPM and BI space for 19 years. Not quite 2 decades yet, but very close. I'm certified in Hyperion planning, Hyperion S-Base, actually Hyperion financial management as well, Anaplan, adaptive solutions, OneStream, and board. So I've got my hands on a lot of different pieces of EPM software over the years, and would be happy to talk to anybody about pros and cons of any one particular set. I'm also the current Oracle Applications User Group S-Base domain lead. So as always, I'd love to talk about S-Base if that's what your present questions are about. A little bit about today's agenda. I want to just quickly touch on an introduction to MindStream in case you don't know who we are. We'll talk about what analysts are saying. By that I mean kind of Gartner and Forrester type analysts, what they're saying is happening in EPM. We're going to hear about what our customers are asking vendors. We're going to hear about what our customers are not asking vendors. Because I think sometimes what they're not asking can tell us a lot, just as much as what they are asking. Finally, we'll go through a little bit of an overall overview of the landscape, and then we'll close out with a little chart I put together stacking up a couple vendors against each other and talk about that. Okay. So about MindStream. MindStream Analytics, we're based in Boston. All of our consultants are US based. Our average client size is about 5 billion. And if you look through here, you'll recognize some industry awards that we've received. One of the things that you'll notice also is that we are big in managed services. We have a very specialized EPM managed services practice that's been recognized by the MSP Mentor 3 years running now. We take that very seriously, and we're very proud of our managed services team. The other thing we talk about is advanced analytics. So if you're getting into the point where you'd like to add something like machine learning or predictive modeling into your forecasting or whatnot, please give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about that. It's a very important topic for us. So onto the EPM landscape. This is what the analysts are saying. So here we have the Gartner and Forrester Magic Quadrants, and I will apologize to begin with. The one in the front to the bottom left here is the Gartner 2017 Magic Quadrant, and the one in the back is the Forrester 2016. I don't have the Forrester 2017. That's on me. I apologize. But what you will notice, if you look at that, and actually it's kind of nice to look at it from one year over the next, you'll notice that there's actually a difference in who's kind of out there and in the two of them. Tidemark seems to have kind of gone away. They were actually acquired by by a private equity firm and merged with another vendor. So Oracle, IBM, SAP, they're still out there. You can kind of see what's going on in 2017. You start to see some newer companies taking kind of that leadership and visionary role. You see IBM and Oracle falling back. You see Host in that leader's position, but also you see OneStream software, which is not on the 2016 Forrester quadrant, now is on the Gartner quadrant in 2017, and really they're all the way over. They're the furthest one over in the visionary section, with the exception of Workiva. But Workiva is such in my mind, Workiva is a very specified application for a specific need. I don't know that it really fits in the entire kind of enterprise performance management. The rest of these guys, Blackline, Host, Tagetik, Oracle, Board, Anaplan, those are more complete EPM vendors than I would say Workiva is. So in my mind, OneStream is kind of the most visionary, complete EPM vendor, if you will. And then Blackline and Host are kind of some of the ones that are visionary, but also have the ability to execute. So as we go down down the road. The other thing you'll notice is some of the other ones from 2016 are starting to fall back. You know, if you look at Adaptive Insights, look at Anaplan, if you look at very strong strategy and strong delivery on the 16 quadrant, you look on the 17th quadrant, they're niche players now. We want to talk about that a little bit. So those are some things you want to keep in mind. The other thing we want to talk about is, you know, what do you want to keep in mind when evaluating EPM? This is not my personal one. Actually, I put this together based on things from Forrester and EPM, and this is what they're telling clients to evaluate. So, you know, integration capabilities, scalability, delivery, usability, support, and functionality, right? So that seems basic. That, you know, it's funny, you look at those and almost doesn't sound like you're just talking about EPM. You could almost put that to anybody, right? But really with EPM, those are big things. I mean, integration becomes a huge thing with EPM because you're integrating all the source systems to roll up to talk to like one final number, right? Scalability as you grow. Delivery mode is something that people are looking at, but we'll see. But we're going to talk about that. Usability, accessibility, and reliability, obviously those comes into your feature functions groups. You know, then support and functionality. So what are our customers asking when they talk to vendors? You see what, you know, kind of Forrester and Gartner says you should ask, but what are our customers asking? This is what is on their minds when they're talking to the vendors right now. And yes, most of this gets into functionality, but at the end of the day, that's why you're buying software, right? So this is a good list. Predictive analytics, that is something that everybody's talking about. It's on everybody's mind. If you ask me the percentage of customers that are actually using it, it's very low. But it is out there, and some people that are using it and are committed to it are using it and using it effectively. A lot of people want to use it, but it's too big a challenge to kind of get their arms around it. They don't have their data correct. You know, they don't know where to start, basically, was what a lot of people come down to. The next one is a term I think I'm making up here, and I apologize for making up words, but it's more than data integration. I call it data cohesion because it's more than just data integration. Data integration, when you think about it, you know, classically is getting data from one system into another and integrating it into what you need, right? So one system's hierarchy or values compared to a different system's values and matching those up and then getting the data to flow over, right? And getting a kind of common dimension or a common data structure that they all kind of map into, right? Or your data warehouse, or, you know, if you're using like an OLAP system, the hierarchies, things like that. However, then that's, you know, what we've learned, especially when you take this into the predictive analytics conversation, is that's great that you've done this data integration. That's great. However, is it surfaceable to apps that can actually utilize it? Or is it this huge thing that takes, now I've got to run SQL queries against it to take 10 days to come back and, you know, things like that. That's not surfaceable. That, you know, yeah, okay, maybe that's performance, but at the end of the day, do the applications that you've integrated into then have a way to actually utilize that data to its maximum potential? So I think data cohesion is kind of the next, in my mind, it's the next step past data integration. Then, you know, obviously customers are asking about performance. You know, a lot of these EPM vendors are technology that's 25 years old. What does the performance look like? 25 years ago, when you were buying a laptop, 8 megabytes of RAM, 16 megabytes of RAM was a lot. You know, now if you have 16 gigabytes, you're wondering why you have so little. So that performance is a big thing. Modeling and what-ifing, that is on everybody's mind. I think that bullet point is actually meant to be different than predictive analytics, because that's more just I want to be the one to draw up different models and then see what happens. You know, the other big one that I think legacy vendors are struggling with is storytelling. Then obviously traceability and process flow. That's one of those ones I feel like it's been there forever. It's the nature of enterprise performance management, because, you know, you're talking about consolidations, you're talking about financials, you know, auditability. So that's the traceability becomes something that's important, right? Process flow, those things all, you know, flow into that kind of auditability bucket. One thing that we're not hearing our customers ask us, you know, when you sit down with the finance team, they don't care if this is on the cloud or not. They want to know about all those other things I just talked about. The functionality, what's the value to them? Now, eventually a customer as a company does ask if it's on the cloud, but it's usually an IT thing. We want this on the cloud or we don't. And, you know, today, I don't know of any vendor that can't be on the cloud. So this is also becoming less of this is also becoming less of a question, because now all software companies know that they have to have some kind of cloud strategy and cloud availability. Otherwise, they will take themselves out of deals because, or out of opportunities, because the customer, maybe it's not the finance customer that cares, but the CIO cares a lot, right? So that becomes a question for that, but it's becoming less of a question because it's also getting to the point now where it's just kind of assumed that you have some kind of cloud strategy as a software vendor. So the other thing we want to talk about is the EPM software solutions. Options, what's right for you and your organization. There's so many options out there, that the one thing is you can see from those multiple quadrant charts that we showed, the Forrester and Gartner quadrants, there's a lot more vendors. If you go back, 2008, 2010, that chart had four options on it. It had Oracle, Oracle, which was Hyperion, Cognos. If you go back to 2006 or 7, it was really Cognos, Hyperion, both of those, that become IBM and Oracle now. And then, you had what is now SAP, which was like BPC, that kind of thing. But those were really your big three. And then you had some other players, but they were very niche, smaller players. And you had your big three, and that was it. Now you have lots of options. So I tried to distill it down into a few to talk about today. And if anyone has questions about others, by all means, please reach out to me. The first one is Anaplan. Anaplan is a cloud solution. It's SaaS. They have a lot of pre-built planning apps on their Anaplan hub. They really try to push that kind of platform idea. It's a privately held, venture-backed startup in San Francisco, and it's based on what they call the Hyperblock technology, which is another a new version of an OLAP engine. Here's their customer deck. The one thing I want to point out about this customer deck, if you look at it, a lot of big names on this customer slide, right? Verizon, United Airlines, or 2Dimension. You have others on here that are big. DocuSign, Boston Scientific. That they're big customers, right? However, one of the things I also want to point out about this slide is that MindStream itself has ongoing engagements around Hyperion within a number of these companies, Verizon, Boston Scientific. These are companies that they have Anaplan somewhere that they're doing something with it, but their corporate EPM solution is Hyperion. So the question becomes, this is a great slide with a lot of great customers to look at, but what are they actually using Anaplan for? That's a question that you should really have with Anaplan reps when they're demoing this to you if you are interested in Anaplan. A little bit about Anaplan: build your own apps. It's great. You can build your own apps. It's very open. It's very fast. It's responsive. You can make changes. There are pre-built apps in the app hub. They're kind of starter apps. They're great. And this is something Anaplan's. The other thing about Anaplan that is it's very user friendly. And so when you buy it, it becomes something that you can manage and develop and enhance internally. This is what it looks like. These are a couple slides from a couple sample applications. Like, again, crisp, clean. It's good looking. It's easy. If you look at this particular chart here, the blue values are the ones that you can enter and impact. So these are things, this is nice and easy for the user. And as you change those, all of the things around here dynamically change as well. So again, fast, you get your answer right away. You put your input in and immediately get your results, your answer, right? So that kind of thing is very interesting. And so that's why Anaplan lends itself to a lot of particular use cases. Capacity analysis, very interesting because you can do it on the fly, right? It will recalculate on the fly. The other thing that makes this a tool that you can bring in-house and learn with and grow with is the fact that all the formulas in Anaplan are natural language formulas. So here is, excuse me, your percent growth. Previous year sales times 1+% growth. I mean, this is a very easy. It's even easier, I would argue, than Microsoft Excel. That's how easy the formulas are to put together. So some feature highlights for Anaplan: in-memory speed, natural language formulas. It's easy to develop new applications, and internal people. You don't have to have a bunch of consultants come along to develop this. Internal people can then go out and easily develop applications. Cloud computing power. It's on the cloud. It's on some pretty big servers. and you get that advantage. It's got an open workflow so that as you can build it and customize it yourself. That's a highlight of it, right? Again, we'll talk about how that's a good and a bad thing. Data sharing between models. So kind of coming back to that cohesion aspect, sharing data, Anaplan works with models. You can build multiple models, and data sharing between the models is very strong. So that helps, and it's fast, just like the rest of Anaplan. So being able to share that data is something that's an impressive feature. Here's some pros and cons about Anaplan. Obviously, some of the highlights are on the pros side that we just talked about, natural language formulas. The minimalist layout is easy to follow. It's clean. I mean, when you think about it, what's the most popular search engine on the web? And I don't think I have to answer that for you, but how to get that way? It's clean and easy and simplistic. You go and that's what you do. It doesn't surround the screen with lots of things. Anaplan is very much like that. Financial analysts can create applications. That's another pro for Anaplan. It's fast and it's real time. Those are a couple rounding out the pros. The cons, a couple things that you don't think of when you're looking at this. Oh, that's going to be so easy to use. That looks great. Oh, excellent. I'm buying it, right? However, let's talk about a couple things that maybe you need to think about that are a little more longer term. One is metadata management. Anaplan is not really built with a good metadata management application. So when you talk about master data, which gets back into that kind of data cohesion and integration, it's great amongst itself within Anaplan. However, when you're managing it with other systems around your company, then you have a metadata issue. Your master data, how do you manage that within Anaplan? Anaplan kind of falls down there because of the way they put together their account structures and things like that. They get to be a little harder to integrate with your master data, other master data applications. Another con, ease of app creation has a downside. The next thing you know, you've got 10,000 apps out there, and how many are being used, who built what, you got to watch that. That's not something that can't be managed, it's just a warning. Con, scalability. Anaplan, it talks about having multiple models and having data cohesion between the different models. However, there's also a need to have multiple models because one model can't always handle 4,000 users or something like that, depending on what you're doing. So what I've seen is when you get into that enterprise, planning and budgeting, then can you put everybody in one company in one model? It depends on what you're doing, but if it's complicated, the answer is usually no. The other thing that is great about Anaplan in one way is the natural language formulas. The other thing is that everything is formula based. Everything's formula driven. So there's not like on the good side, there's not a scripting or programming language that goes around it. On the bad side, that can be limiting. The other thing is IT governance issues, and that is the promotion of things from dev to QA to prod. Anaplan doesn't have a modular construction that lets you take pieces out and move them up. I know they're working on it. They don't have it yet. That brings us to OneStream. OneStream's an EPM platform. They're all the way to the right on the visionary side of that the quadrant. They're the leader on in the visionary side. OneStream, it's an EPM platform. It's one platform, hence the name OneStream, that allows you to do planning, budgeting, consolidations, analysis, all of these components in one application, which has some value in itself. OneStream, it can be on-premise or in the cloud. They have both. They have a couple unique functionalities that I'm going to talk about in a moment. And this is something that is very interesting to people, and OneStream's been getting a lot of traction lately in the market. They're privately held. They're headquartered in Rochester, Michigan. Excuse me. Some OneStream customers. The thing I will tell you about this slide is all of these customers, OneStream is their corporate performance management solution. That's it. They've all abandoned all other corporate performance management solutions, and they are all OneStream. So that's a little different tact, right? So one thing about OneStream is the unified platform. Everything is done within one product, one application. And you have multiple solutions. It meets the needs of multiple areas of the finance organization, but it meets them all within one single application or platform. Not to say you can't have one-off applications if you have something that's completely outside or whatnot. However, it's all one platform, and it can all be one application. And that goes a long way towards data cohesion, as we'll get to. The cool thing about OneStream, and maybe it's kind of defining individual feature, is what they call extensible dimensionality. One of the things that people that are familiar with EPM or performance management, whatever you want to call it, know is that when you get into bigger companies, one of the things you end up with is different divisions with different needs. And I think this slide kind of starts to sum up what you see. So if we start in the second from the left, the corporate actuals. Corporate may need net sales and a breakout of operating sales, intercompany returns, and other outside sales, and that's all they need. They don't need a lower level of that. However, on the further to the left of that, manufacturing, they may need operating sales broken out by a couple different things: third party, OEM, sub-assembly, parts sales, things like that. So in that case, they have a different need than corporate. So there's a lot of different things in the past with performance management applications. One of the things you do is you start to go down the road of, you have two options. You have a high level application, and people have outside models that they work on and then submit into the high level application, or you have multiple applications for different business units. However, in OneStream, you can do it all in one application and give everybody the level of detail they need. If you look at the other example, there's two more: the services business unit, third from the left, and then the services business unit budget, right? So the business unit actuals, operating sales is broken out into management revenue, service revenue, and event revenue. Okay, we can get that. We understand that. They need those buckets. However, their budget is actually built out at an even lower level. So you can actually extend their own, that's the same business line, and you can actually extend their own dimensionality to get down to an even lower level to budget at. Because now if you want to do driver-based budgeting, the drivers, you don't necessarily want to mix them in your actuals, right? But you do want to mix them in the budgets, and then you can have driver accounts and things like that in the budget that then maybe roll up differently to become a management revenue. So this is what extensible dimensionality is, and it's a groundbreaking idea or functionality, and because now you can put all of these different areas into one application, and everyone can still get what they need out of it, which has never been the case before. Another thing that OneStream offers is guided reporting. So as you walk through, it'll walk the user through what they need to see. It's integrated with drill down. OneStream does a great job of integrating the data, and beyond that, it's making the data available to whoever it needs when they need it. It doesn't always need to restore data, so I'm not building a data. I'm not taking the data out of my source system, putting it in a data warehouse, and then putting it into OneStream. So now I've saved it in 3 different spots. That's excellent, real efficient there for storage, right? No, OneStream has connectors that go directly into the source system if you'd like. So you can skip the data warehouse, or you can go right to the data warehouse. I mean, depending on what you have in your infrastructure, you obviously make those decisions during the implementation. The other thing that I love about OneStream that they've come up with that I think is this, because I talk to customers all the time, and this is one of the biggest complaints I have. Variance explanations, and you can report on them in OneStream. In most performance management systems, you can accept explanations. So you can enter in text as to why this is over budget or what have you. The problem then becomes, since most of these things are hierarchical, the problem becomes, how do you surface those low-level variance explanations at an upper level to somebody who's reading, okay, this product was way off. We really didn't sell enough of this product, and that's why we're under budget. But then when I'm just looking at total sales, I can't see that variance because it's down at that lower product level. One of the things I love about OneStream is when you put in this variance explanation, it turns into a filter, and then you can report on your different variance explanations. And if you look at this slide, you'll see that on the left, somebody's putting in a variance explanation, and then it turns into a waterfall, a step that shows you how you get your variance and all the different ways that is, right? Great volume this month, and that's the orange square that's up in the top, or rectangle, excuse me. So you can see that, and then it's filterable based on those explanations, which, that has a lot of value for people, because now you can kind of surface those variance explanations to higher level management very easily. The other thing that I think is unique to OneStream is their machine learning strategy. They have an end-to-end solution for machine learning. OneStream, you bring the data into OneStream. Because OneStream is a combination of relational and cube, you can bring it in the data into OneStream. You put in you have your low-level transactional detail, even though you may view it most of the time in an aggregated fashion, it's still in there. So as the machine, as the application needs it, it can utilize it. So if you want to do machine learning or predictive modeling or whatever you want to call that, you can do that with that lower level of detail and then feed the results back in at the upper level. It uses the Microsoft Machine Learning Studio, and it can surface data to if you go with OneStream's cloud option, which is Azure, they're building in the ability to surface that to Cortana, which is Microsoft's artificial intelligence. So all of that starts to become a cohesive strategy around how you can do that, because Cortana can actually go out and get you third-party information and enrich your data. So as you go down that road, you're getting a real thorough machine learning strategy or predictive modeling strategy. Basically, what we're looking to do, or what they're looking to do with machine learning, is start to create applications that will come. You're going to feed it the data. It will come up with your budget and your forecast, and then you're just going to tweak it based on certain things you may know that the machine doesn't. And that's a powerful strategy. Their machine learning strategy, I think, is one of the reasons they're on the very right of that visionary piece of the quadrant. I don't think anybody else has really put together as complete a machine learning or predictive analytics strategy as OneStream has. So OneStream, pros and cons. The pros: extensible dimensionality, revolutionary functionality, guided reporting. It's something that everybody talks about, storytelling, things like that. One platform and that data cohesive model, because the data is there to be surfaced when needed, whenever it needs to be, depending on the function. That's great. That to me is really a wonderful thing. Predictive modeling strategy, that is just exciting to me. I love the ideas behind it, and I love the strategy. Cons: it's a small company. The platform is really heavily Microsoft. I don't necessarily view that as a con, but I know that some people do. Some companies are really not psyched to be on the Microsoft Windows server or whatnot, and so I can understand that. They don't want to have SQL Server or something like that, because whatever, for some reason. So to some people that is a con, but I don't really think of it that way, but I know that some people do. The other thing that OneStream is working on, they have a master data management tool built into the platform. The thing that becomes a little bit of a con is the interoperability of that with a third-party master data management tools. So if you have an Orchestra Networks, or if you have something like that that's doing master data for your company, how does it play with OneStream? I mean, they're building that, they're working on that constantly, and I know that that's something that they're working on, but right now that's a little bit of a con. So that master data interplay is a little bit con. I will say that within the OneStream system, I think they have a very strong master data solution. However, that integration of that solution with others is really kind of where it starts to break down. And then kind of Oracle Hyperion. Oracle's cloud EPM platforms based on their Hyperion software, which has been a market leader for years. It's built on all of it now is built on SBasic technology, except some of the one-off applications around account reconciliations and things. They're headquartered in Redwood Shores, and I'm sure everybody knows they're a public company. I don't think that's a secret to anyone. Excuse me. There's one of the things in their planning and budgeting cloud solution is smart forms, and this is something that's being rolled out across this was the first application to get it, and they're rolling it out across the other applications. One thing I will talk about, I think I missed on the last slide, was Oracle is the antithesis of OneStream and Anaplan. It's not one platform. It's an application per function. So if you want to do planning and budgeting, you buy their planning and budgeting application. If you want to do financial consolidation, you buy their financial consolidation tool. If you want to do account reconciliation, you buy their account reconciliation. They're all cloud tools, but they are individual applications that you purchase. Okay, so the supported grid labels and things like that, the smart forms that Oracle has the big thing here is it's built to act like Excel. They've spent a long time building in the ability to do Excel calculations and extending Excel formatting capabilities, things like that, onto their smart web grids. Again, you got to be an interactive or admin user to do this, but it's there. The other thing, then you can also add business rules, which kind of is that scripting and kind of programming language around that to allow more complex calculations. The other thing that they've added into their planning budgeting cloud service and into their other cloud applications is the idea of valid intersections. So you can control what intersections. So sales, or discounts can only be given on these 5 products. So you can only enter for those 5 products, not necessarily having discounts and then allowing anybody to enter into any product or something along those lines. Those combinations of accounts and product, or legal entity and account, or legal entity and product, or whatever the case may be, you can manage those so users only are allowed to log data into where they should. The other thing that I think is great with Oracle is the sandboxing capabilities. The what-ifing, modeling. We talked about that. That's one of those things that was talked about on the original slide of what people are asking about. So I have the ability as a user to build my own model, play with it, look at what it does, look at my numbers, tweak things, and then decide if it's good or bad, go back, tweak again, put it together, see what it looks like before anybody else even sees it. I can do my own modeling, and then when I'm ready, I can submit it to the corporate model. So that takes that ability down to that user level to kind of work within the tool, but not necessarily work within the tool that's impacting everybody. So I think that helps with the overall kind of planning and budgeting process. So some pros and cons about Oracle. Some pros, obviously that sandboxing is a great one. The underlying S-Base technology, S-Base is, one of the top technological advances in the last 20 years. It's a great technology. People love it. And their cloud applications are built on it. So that's a pro. The smart forms and the valid intersections I covered, those are great pros. Some of the cons of Oracle Cloud, one is multiple applications. You're constantly going to have to procure. If you want to make it your performance management platform, you're going to have multiple applications. There's one you have to buy for financial close. There's one you have to buy for planning and budgeting. There's another you're going to have to buy for account reconciliations. That has an impact. Also, the other thing that does is going back to that whole data cohesion thing, which is the third bullet here, no data cohesion, is because now you've got data in 3 different clouds. There's no cloud interoperability. So, within OneStream, I can reconcile my accounts, and then I can use that reconciled data for my financial consolidation because it's all together. I can't do that in Oracle. I have to take things out and move it around. The other con for Oracle is I question whether it's expensive for larger customers. Does the per user model start to break down at a certain size? Also, there's amounts of data that you have to add on more data storage, etc., to the cloud. That can get expensive. Finally, the parity with on-premise versions, and that is wildly variable across different applications within Oracle. So their planning and budgeting and cloud service is I would say the parity is actually tilted towards the cloud. The cloud has more functionality than the on-premise version. However, when you get into the consolidation side, the on-premise version has significantly more capabilities and functionalities than the cloud version. So the parity between the different versions and different applications is something that Oracle's really got to work on. Again, they're working on it. They know this. All of these things, every con that I think I have up here are not something that the software vendors, and not just for Oracle, but for all of them, they're not something that the software vendors are like, oh, I never thought of that. They know this. They're all working on them. We'll see who gets where first, but they're all working on these things. Okay, so some final thoughts. How do you pick a path through all the noise on this? I think what you really want to do is focus on the functionality that you really want and what's important to your organization. If your biggest thing is sandboxing, you may want to have a serious look at Oracle. If your biggest thing is really reporting and guided reporting, annotations, things like that, obviously I think you should look at OneStream. You know, if it's speed and point and cleanliness of kind of the UI, maybe you want to look at Anaplan. So those are the different things that are important to you. But what is really the most important pieces? And you know, my advice would be to go through and list out all of them and then rank them, and have your finance teams rank them, and then come up with how that ranking is, and then you can compare it to who does what well. Excuse me. Then what tool is going to meet and provide you with the best solution to meet your needs? Stop asking if it's on the cloud or not. It doesn't, you know, that doesn't have anything to do with functionality most of the time. I mean, with the data cohesion, sometimes it does, but most of the time it does not. So here are, you know, some things I'll put together based on the thing that we said, what people are asking for. Predictive analytics. Let's break this down. Anaplan has released some. They're still working their strategy. OneStream, I think, like I said, it's unified, comprehensive strategy. It's very good. Oracle, they have a lot of different tools, but no real cohesive strategy. And you know, Oracle's idea is it's going to allow you plug into all kinds of statistical modeling applications with various APIs, but it doesn't have one cohesive strategy about how to achieve this. Anaplan, I think data cohesion with Anaplan is a little difficult. OneStream, I think it's excellent. Oracle, when they get to the point where you can communicate from cloud to cloud to cloud, then they'll be somewhere. But right now, you know, if you want something from consolidations cloud to go into the planning cloud, you got to download it and then re-put it in. Not optimal. Performance, I think Anaplan's models are all in memory, and I think at some level they do have some trouble scaling. I think overall the solution scales, but that it tends to be that you're using multiple models. OneStream, it can scale. Oracle, it can scale. The question becomes with Oracle, do you require multiple apps or cubes? And also, you know, I've seen some trouble with cloud uptime. It's not as good as they advertise. I'll leave that out there. Modeling, I think Anaplan is excellent. I mean, one of the good things about having multiple models is people can do their modeling in different things, in different models. OneStream, excellent modeling capabilities. I mean, you know, the predictive modeling helps with that. Oracle, it's very good, the sandboxing thing, but because they lack something like extensible dimensionality, how do you put them all together, and do you have it at a low enough detail? The sandboxing is great for a start, but do they have it at a low enough detail, or do they have it at a dimensionality that's at like kind of the business unit level, or is it really only at corporate, or do you have multiple applications, and how does that work? Storytelling, Anaplan, free-form development leaves the storytelling wide open, so it can be very good, but again, it puts the onus on you a little bit. OneStream, you know, I talked about reporting on annotations and guided reporting. Oracle, they have lots of dashboarding tools. They have lots of annotation strategies, but again, they leave something out because they don't really have a clear favorite or clear strategic way of doing it. And you know, the problem becomes, how do you surface the annotations to higher levels? Traceability and process flow, Anaplan's workflow is a little limited. OneStream's good workflow processes. OneStream demands a workflow process when you put things together, so that's why I think it's a very good workflow process, because it has to be in there. Oracle, you know, they have a good workflow process depending on what you're doing. It could use some improvement, but I'll give them a good, and I'll give OneStream a good. I think they carry that one. Data governance, Anaplan, they don't really have a good MDM type tool, nor do they interact well with other master data management tools. So from that perspective, I don't think that they're strong there. OneStream, they have a good internal tool. They need to have it integrate with other external tools to really kind of to really be at the top side of that. Oracle Cloud DRM for EPM, and it integrates with other tools very well. The other thing is, a lot of the EPM systems for Oracle can integrate with something like an orchestra or something like that. So those are things that's kind of a plus for Oracle. Technical governance, Anaplan, they do not have good promotion capabilities, so they lack some of that technical governance. OneStream, excellent promotion capabilities. Oracle, I would say also. LCM, you know, I've been working with Oracle for a long time, and LCM wasn't as good years and years ago, but right now I think it's excellent. So those two both get excellence on that. Ad hoc analysis. Anaplan, on the dashboarding side, it's great. But when you get into like something like, when I think of ad hoc analysis, and maybe this is because I'm an old S-based guy, but I think of something that gets you into Excel that I can cut up and slice and dice and really get into it. Anaplan doesn't really offer that. The dashboarding that's on the web, it's fast, it's real time, great. But now I want to customize it from what somebody else put together for me to something else, and then really dig through the numbers. That's not really what it does well. OneStream, on the other hand, it has an ad hoc analysis tool. It's the same as kind of Hyperion Smart View. They're very similar. It's good. It's great. They're adding that into web and mobile. It's very good. Oracle Cloud, Smart View. Again, an old S-based guy, I'll say it's not quite what the old Excel add-in is, but it's still a great ad hoc analytic tool. So that's good too. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention today. I'd like to close out just reminding people, if you would like to have us help you with a whiteboarding session and review that with your company, we're doing that free of charge for people. So please contact us and we'll go through a whiteboarding session. Also, if you want to talk about something that's not up here or that I didn't cover today, like another vendor, I'm happy to go through that as well. So please give us a ring and we'll talk about that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for attending today's webinar. If you have questions, you can submit them using the forms on the bottom, and we will respond to you as soon as possible. And thank you again. We will see you at the next webinar next month.